Hello everybody, welcome to the Self-Management Solutions Guide to BCBA and BCABA Experience Hours Tracking Sheets. Just as a side note before we get started, these tracking sheets should in no way replace the verification forms provided by the BACB, and the BACB website should be your primary source of information in regards to requirements for accumulating experience and supervision hours. So today's tutorial is going to review our tracking sheets for independent fieldwork, practicum, and intensive practicum with multiple supervisors. I'm going to be using the independent fieldwork tracking sheet as the model for today's tutorial. Then I'll review slight differences for practicum and intensive practicum tracking sheets at the end. Alright, so let's start by looking at this top row of the independent fieldwork tracking sheet. Our first column is going to be supervisory period. To the right of that, you'll see the week of for each supervisory period. Notice that each supervisory period on the independent fieldwork tracking sheet consists of 2 weeks. Continuing on to the right of this, we have direct implementation experience and direct and indirect experience. So notice we have 2 columns for tracking experience hours. This is because the BACB requires that no more than 50% of your total experience comes from that direct implementation. Direct and indirect experience consists more of supervisory type tasks. You can find examples of tasks that fall under this category on the BACB's website. Continuing on to the right of that, we have our first blue colored cells. And just a quick note about all of the colored cells on this tracking sheet, these all contain formulas and they are locked, therefore you cannot modify any of the colored cells on this sheet. So our period experience is going to total the experience acquired for each supervisory period on this tracking sheet. Again, for independent field work, that's going to be every 2 weeks. The period supervision goal is going to calculate the amount of supervision needed based on the hours of experience you acquired during each supervisory period. And you can compare your supervision goal for each period with your actual period supervision totals. All right, and then the rest of our columns here are going to be for tracking supervision under all of your supervisors. This tracking sheet allows you to track supervision for up to 4 supervisors. The first thing you're going to want to do is change the supervisor numbers to the actual names of your supervisor. And once you have your names changed here, you notice that for each supervisor, it allows you to track individual supervision and group supervision. And the reason for this is because, again, a requirement by the BACB is that no more than 50% of your supervision acquired each supervisory period can come from that group supervision. So let's go ahead and look at our year 1 totals. Here you're going to see all of the calculations that this sheet is going to put out for you. On the top row, you'll again see all of your individual supervision by each supervisor. Change each of those supervisor numbers to the actual name of your supervisor and you'll be able to see how much supervision you got from each individual person that year. Also in these year 1 totals, you'll find your total experience, your total supervision goal, and your total supervision. And then finally, we have our BCBA experience hours remaining and BCABA experience hours remaining. So this is kind of your countdown to see how many hours of experience you have left until you're ready to register for your exam. These yellow cells are the one exception to the rule for colored cells on this sheet. You can actually delete these if you would like. So if you are working towards your BCBA exam, then go ahead and just delete the cells for BCABA experience hours remaining. Alright, so let's go ahead now and enter some numbers into this tracking sheet so I can show you what the automated functions are going to do. So as we enter our week of and our experience hours, we can see that the period experience is totaling those numbers, and we can see that our period supervision goal is totaling 5% of our period experience. Additionally, as I enter my supervision under each individual supervisor, my period supervision is also totaling. So as I continue to enter numbers, we can see that the year 1 totals are also adding up numbers for me. Under each supervisor, it's giving me the amount of supervision each of those supervisors provided to me for the entire year. Also, I can see that the total experience, the total supervision goal, and the total supervision for year 1 are counting up, while hours remaining for the BCBA exam and BCABA exam are decreasing. And that is about it for this tracking sheet. Let's look really quickly at the practicum and intensive practicum tracking sheets as well. So with the practicum tracking sheet, most of the functions are the same. The differences you'll see here are that each supervisory period only consists of 1 week. As I enter numbers into the practicum experience, our period supervision goal is going to be higher. Now it is 7.5% of my experience hours. And you'll also notice that the experience hours remaining for the BCBA and BCABA exams are lower. And then finally, looking at the intensive practicum tracking sheet, again, we see that each supervisory period consists of 1 week. Now our period supervision goal is even higher. It's going to be 10% of our total experience. And the experience hours remaining for the BCBA and BCABA are going to be lower. There's one additional requirement for intensive practicum, which says that you need to meet with your supervisor at least twice each supervisory period, which means that you need to meet with your supervisor twice a week. So there's a column here for tracking number of contacts with your supervisor. All right, and that is it. When you are ready to learn how to fill out year 2 and year 3 tracking sheets, you can find our tutorial on transferring hours onto new years. If you have any questions or feedback on these tracking sheets, go ahead and fill out our contact form on selfmanagementsolutions.org.